Welcome to Towle Talks. Ever wondered how to get that weird health bar to follow your character around the screen? Today we're going to talk about that. So today we're going to use Canvas to create a health bar to follow the UI canvas to create a health bar to follow our character around the screen. The old school method of doing this was with a function called onGUI. It worked okay for PC applications, however, it did not work for mobile applications. So I'm going to show you a different solution than using onGUI. We can use a canvas, and it will actually create a game object, a canvas game object, but we're going to use world coordinates so we can follow our object around the world. Hello. Now, today we are going to make a health bar using the UI system. There are probably other ways of doing this with a canvas, but I figured this is a fairly easy way to implement the UI system in the game for a health bar versus using onGUI. onGUI is the legacy UI system, and although in certain situations such as health bars, it actually is probably easier than using the UI system, it's very computationally difficult, especially for mobile devices. So what I have here is I have a cube, which is going to be our hero. And then underneath the cube, I've added a child, but the child's a canvas. So I literally right-clicked, went to UI, and I said canvas. Now, of course, when you get to canvas, it's going to be massive. It's going to cover everything. We want to set the canvas to these values. Position 0, position 0.7 for Y, and position Z is 0. Width is 1, height is 0.2. We're going to make it very, very tiny. We're also going to go down here and change this to world space. So now the canvas is living in the same coordinates that all your game objects are living in. With that, we're actually kind of done with the canvas. Although the other thing we're going to do is we'll come back to what this is. But like I said, we'll come back to billboards. So the idea is I want this health bar to move around as the character moves around. So now it will, or at least the canvas object will follow our hero cube because it is a child of hero. And because canvas is world space, it will now follow the child cube. Next problem is like, how do we draw the graphics? So what I did here is I've added a panel underneath the canvas, and I've just used the selection icon. So if you just go to source image, select this. The background, one of these backgrounds will be available for you to use. I think I used just the selection background, the gray for the checkbox. And once I have that, I added another image underneath the panel, so it's going to be drawn in front of the panel. And this image is then going to be the same size, except the only difference here is I put color to red, versus the panel's image is the color is white. So here I right-clicked, add UI image, and then selected the UI image and said color is red. So what's going to happen is I lose HP, this red bar is going to shrink, and I'll see the gray image outlining it, showing me how much damage I've taken, so to speak. We're not actually going to make a game, but that's the spirit of it. The panel is going to be, actually we're kind of done with the panel. As I say, 0, 0, 0, left, right is bottom. Yeah, we're going to just have it stretch. We're going to make sure the anchors is stretched to the canvas, which it should be by default. And the HP bar is, I have the anchor set here, but I think you could also do stretch as well. And I was trying to change something with the anchors, but let's just try. I'll leave it there. So the anchors, what I've done for the HP bar is I moved it to the edge of the icon. So I'm anchoring it around that specific icon. So now we have this situation. Well, here's our HP bar. Here's our canvas. It's going to follow our object. Now, how do we actually make the HP bar change? So if I make UI, or here, again, I'm going to save my scene. I've saved it under health bars, so go File, Save. I said health bar scene. and then open up, make a new folder for UI scripts, or use the UI scripts from the previous example, and we'll make a script called hero. Now what hero is going to do is we're going to have two objects. We're going to have a game object for HP bar, and then we're going to have the HP bar's rect transform. Now UI components use rect transform instead of just a transform, and it's got a little bit more functionality for it, but it won't bother us right now. So also, if I'm going to use rect transform, I have to make sure I say using Unity engine.ui. If you're using anything with Unity's UI system in code, you cannot forget this step right here. And then you can ignore this because I was trying to do something else, but we're not going to do that. There's a way to actually change the bounds on the Unity rect transform. However, it's much easier just to scale it. So we're going to have the HP bar is a game object. It's going to be a public game object, and what we're going to do is we're going to just, in the Unity, we're going to drag the HP bar onto this variable. Being this is a component, we're going to actually get the component, although we could technically drag the component onto this variable as well. So in start, we say HP tran equals hbar.getComponent rect transform. So we're going to get the component, store it there. And then basically what we're going to do is notice here that int HP is 5, mHP is 10. Every update, we're going to say HP tran.local scale. So this is how much it's going to scale. We're going to say new vector 3, and then we're going to say HP over float cast mHP. Remember, I have to float cast this because this is otherwise would be an integer division, and 5 divided by 10 is 0 with integer division. So I have to make this a float. So I cast this as a float. Now I'm going to get 0.5. That's how much I'm going to scale the x value. The y and the z value will remain at 1, and then this will change every frame based on what the HP is. So that's all I'm going to do there. Now if I go back to my Unity, I go to HP, or I go to my hero, you'll see that I've added a hero script, and then I've taken this, I've drugged this HP bar, I've taken this and I've drug it down to HP bar. I did not populate this variable because this variable is going to be found dynamically. So now if you run it, you should see the HP bar be half the size of the canvas right now, meaning I'm at half health. So you can see it is scaled down. A little bit hard to see as it's zoomed away, but it does seem to be working. Let me put the camera on orthographic. That will make our life a little bit more interesting, or a little easier. Orthographic, there we go. Still a little bit far away, huh? What we're going to do is we'll put orthographic and we'll put size 2. There we go. So now we can see, in fact, that our inner image is shrinking because it's half the size, or should be half the size, as the panel. While this is running, if I select the hero and I set, say he gains health, so now there's 8 health, you can see that the HP bar has changed. Now 1 health, you can see it's very small. So you can see that this HP bar is changing as you play the game. Now one problem you're going to notice is if I move the camera, so if I move the camera to a weird angle and it's on perspective especially, or not even that, let's say I don't move the camera, what if I rotate the block, because this is 3D. So if I go back to actually we'll keep it the way we have it, we'll just rerun it. Now what if I rotate my hero block? Now yours is not going to do this, but mine will. Say the hero's turned. If I rotate around the y-axis, say 45 degrees, you'll see your code, you should see the eye be moving with it, which means you have this flat UI representing the health rotating with the object. We don't want to do that necessarily. So we want the entire canvas, or at least a panel, to be billboarded with the hero or the main camera. Billboard means it's always facing it. So how do we do that? So we're going to go back to we're going to make another script called billboard, and this one's actually pretty quick. And so we open that one up, and we'll see here that we have just one line of code, well, 2 lines of code. We're going to have public camera M camera, and then public rec transform trans. And what I'm actually just going to drag both of these onto it, so I'm not even going to set them in start, although you could. So this is going to be the rec transform of the camera of the canvas, pardon me, and this is going to be the main camera that I'm using in the scene. So we're going to do tran.transform. This is how you get the transform component of a rec transform. Then I do .look at, and now I specify the position. This is not incredibly intuitive, so I would just put this to memory or write this down, but I'm going to use the current canvas's position plus the camera's transform rotation times vector 3 forward, and then I'm going to do the same thing for rotation and vector 3 up. Not exactly intuitive, but again, this is a piece of code. We'll make it billboard so it always faces the camera. So just write this line out. You can pause the video if you need to. And then once we save it, we're going to go back to Unity, click on the canvas, add the billboard script, and what we're going to do is we're going to drag the main camera down to this element, and if we scroll up a little bit, we're going to just click here and drag down to the rec transform, and now if you run it, you should see no matter where our hero rotates, the eyeball will still be facing it. This is not perfect, as if the hero goes up inclines or down inclines, this could still cause other problems, but it is better than nothing. So it does have the UI acting as a billboard, and you could set it up so the farther you're away, perhaps the health bar is farther up in the air and maybe scale larger, and as you get closer, it gets closer to the character and smaller. But this is, again, a proof of concept of how you could use the Canvas UI system for health bars. So that has been the tutorial on how to create a health bar. I hope you found it interesting. Please like and subscribe. Until next time, cheers.